the only thing you could really hear is the wind and the noise of different articles actually hitting the poles and whatnot. And I spotted a family right in through this marsh area, and they were holding hands, they were trying to get out, and they made it as far as where this pole is. And essentially what happened is the girl who was holding on to the mother, her hand slipped and she started floating into the marsh. And I swam out and got her and brought her back in, and we used the fence is still there. We used the fence to hold on to guide us back to land. We got back to land, and I just brought them into to my house, which is right at the corner at the time. And we got them new clothes, got them the little girl in the bathtub with warm water, and they actually stayed with us for a week. You couldn't move for about a week. At the same time, there was a house that was behind this house, and people were living in it, and they couldn't get out. They made their way up to the edge of the driveway, so I came down. At that point, I had found a canoe, and I grabbed the canoe and put them in the canoe and dragged them up. I had gone back in the house and put a wetsuit on. And from that point, I came back with the canoe because I heard 2 houses down. I heard a guy yelling for help, and essentially what he was doing is waving a lantern in the window, an old-fashioned lantern. And so I took the canoe down through the water and brought it actually into his living room, and took him out of his living room. He come down the stairs, get in the canoe, and I pulled him up. And as it turns out, the guy had a heart condition. So he said I wouldn't have survived in that house. So I brought him up to land. That was 2 doors down, 3 doors down. So that was, and then from that point on, there were just different people that had no electricity that were in the neighborhood. And we were the only ones. We had just tied in across the street, our electrical system. So we were the only ones from this side of the street down to the water that had electricity. So our house lit up like a lighthouse, and so people just found their way. They saw the lights on and they came in, and we ended up with a living room full of people. Some of them, when they announced that somebody came around to the door, banged and said the Atherton House School had opened as a shelter, all of them left except for 2 families. And the next day, another family left. So we had a family, husband, wife, and their 8-year-old daughter stayed with us for the week. The neighborhood was great. I mean, for the following week, there was snow. It was 4.5 feet high, and essentially what we were able to do is take all of our collective food storage and cooked up lunch and dinner all week long. So the neighbors were fantastic. I mean, there's a downside to the storm, which is, fortunately nobody got killed. Somebody could have easily. And the upside of the storm is that feeling of community, people in need, helping one another out, and that was extremely evident that whole week. No matter what you needed, people were there for you, whether it was food or Band-Aids or extra clothes or whatever it was. People just kicked in and helped, and it was great community feeling.